All right, so today we have an interesting, fun topic. Maybe not so fun, but interesting and very important. Grief, loss. These are things we are so uncomfortable talking about in our society. So here's why I want to talk about that and why I chose this week. Rewind to 4 years ago. I was happily married, mom of 2 boys. We had our happily ever planned out and life was good. And then my husband, Patrick, died in a tragic car accident at the age of 35. And our lives came crumbling down. I lost my best friend, my rock. My boys lost their daddy, their protector, their hero. We went to bed February 18th, kind of thinking life was great, and woke up February 19th, and I was a widow and a solo parent, and my boys were fatherless. So over these past 4 years, I have traveled through immense grief. The journey has been exhausting, and I want to share today certain ways that I feel like our culture doesn't get grief right, and ways that I think that we can kind of change that narrative and do grief in a healthier way. First up is by acknowledging this happens to all of us. All of us. Grief is universal, okay? There is nobody that is not touched by loss and grief. And although I experienced traumatic grief at a young age, my boys an even younger age, it's not just confined to death. I mean, death is the final ultimate loss, but grief and loss can be about a breakup, a divorce, miscarriage, mental health issues, addiction issues, moving, anything that changes your life and leaves a void. That's loss, that's grief, right? So it's something we all deal with all the time. All of us. Our society likes to make us feel like it's something that's taboo. It's inevitable when I meet somebody and I say, "Oh, I'm a widow." And they go, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "What? Can we not say that at a regular volume? Like, is it contagious? Don't catch the widow." But seriously, that's how it feels. It feels like they're shaming and shunning, and we can't say these things out loud. We can. Everybody deals with it. Then comes our fix-it nature. As a culture, we're a very chin-up culture. We like to quickly jump in and try to make someone feel better. We placate people who are grieving with a comment like, maybe it was meant to be, or I think it was for the best. No, don't. Just don't ever say that to someone who's grieving. Just don't. Because for some crazy reason, if maybe it was for the better or there was a reason behind it, it still hurts. Okay? It hurts. Let it hurt. We can't fix our grief just to assuage our discomfort. If you're grieving, don't stuff it down and try to fix it and say it's not there. If someone you're with is grieving, don't try to fix it. Just listen. Just be. Let them be. Okay, so the inevitable question is, okay, what do I do with all the hurt? All this hurt that is so incredibly painful, and I get it. It is tough. The hurt is tough. But the only way to deal with the pain is by feeling it and going through it. There's a great quote I like to say whenever I'm talking about grief by Robert Frost, and it says, "The only way out is through." And I'm by no means insinuating that there's a way out of grief. Okay, I will never be over my late husband's death. But out means healing. So in order to heal, you have to go through the grief. You have to feel the feelings. You have to sit with it, the pain, okay? You have to just be with it. And I know it's way easier said than done. And listen, I know we all live busy lives, okay? I'm not just saying that anytime you feel grief, bubble up, you can just plop yourself down, have a good cry, and get it all out, because we have lives to live. Although, side note, I have sat down, cried, and gotten it all out in just about every public and private place you can imagine. Widow. But what you can do is note the feeling. Okay, if it bubbles up at an inopportune time, note it. bookmark it, say, I got to go back to that. Okay, I am a busy mom. I'm a single mom. I'm a solo mom. I've cried plenty of times around my boys, with my boys. But there are times that I just have to cook dinner or I have to drive them to practice. So if something bubbles up, I feel it, and I know I need to go back to it after they're asleep and write or draw or cry or listen to sad music. Note it and feel it. So the takeaway, grief is complicated, super complicated. It's unique and different for all of us. And even though our society does a pretty crap job of allowing space for grief, the tides are starting to turn, and you can help with that. Number 1, normalize it. Grief is something everyone experiences. Loss is something everyone deals with. Speak it. Don't be afraid to speak it. It's part of our lives. Number 2, don't try to fix it. Okay, you can't. You can't fix grief. Instead, allow it just to be. Allow it to be in the person next to you that's grieving. Allow it to be in yourself. Number 3, feel it. And this is, again, the tough one. Feeling it sucks. But in order to heal, you have to feel. It's really cheesy. But it's true, okay? Do what you need to do to move the emotion. It could be running, writing, drawing, listening to sad music, talking to a friend, raging, whatever it takes. Move the emotion out of your body. Move towards healing. And lastly, just lead with kindness and empathy. I mean, everyone around us are struggling with battles of their own. Okay? We can all use a little space to just be without judgment and harshness. So your challenge this week is to take note. That's it. Take note of a time when grief bubbles up for you. It could be something small, like maybe you have plans Friday night and someone cancels and you're really looking forward to it and you feel grief about it. That's loss. Tiny, but loss. So take 30 seconds, note it and feel it. Could be a bigger loss, something that's happened prior in your life. Bubbles up and you take a second to acknowledge it. And when you do this, if you intend on doing this, comment down below with a little wave or a little thumbs up, just to kind of let everybody know that they're not alone, that we're all in this grief thing together. And don't forget, subscribe so that every Friday you're getting alerted to new videos and new challenges that I drop. All right, so remember to be brave, choose love, and be outrageously authentic.